Small businesses are often the backdrop of very special memories. I spent like my whole 20s hanging out at the Raven on Mount Pleasant Street. And I still go back there kind of when my roommate from those years comes back to town. And that's probably about it. And what we talk about is all the stuff we did there. Most people don't have an outlet to share these kinds of stories, as sweet as they are, but the folks at District Bridges want to change that. Their new Love Your Neighborhood campaign features stories of love and connection from the 7 neighborhoods they work in, and there's also special limited edition swag like bucket hats, t-shirts, and stickers that you could buy to rep your neighborhood. Show your neighborhood spirit and spread some love this summer. Visit districtbridges.org/loveyourneighborhood to share your special memory today. Once again, that's districtbridges.org/loveyourneighborhood.
Today on CityCast DC, the city is trying to buy up vacant lots to repurpose them, but have they made a mistake somewhere along the way? Plus, would you, yes, you, listener, run to represent your neighborhood, but do it without pay? And what are the best breakfast sandwiches around? I'm breaking it down with CityCast's Priyanka Tilve. Today is Tuesday, July 30th. I'm Julia Karen, and here's what DC is talking about. What's up, Priyanka?
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday. Not for everyone, I suppose.
No, not for 63-year-old Richard Jaskowitz. What's going on? What's his deal? What happened here?
Okay, so our friend Petula Dvorak, who is a columnist for the Washington Post, put out this piece late last week about Richard Jaskowitz. He owns a 5-bedroom home in Mount Pleasant. He bought the place in 1997. He's been living there ever since.
Great.
But he's been getting notices lately from the Department of Buildings, so from the city, basically telling him that his home is about to be put up for auction in a tax sale, like the city-run tax sale auction. Obviously an alarming thing. It turns out that when he bought the place in 97, it was a bit of a fixer-upper, and he says he's been working on it, slowly renovating and pulling out weeds and redoing the lawn and all the things. But apparently from the outside, this home still doesn't look quite up to snuff for the neighborhood. We're talking like Upper 16th Street. This is like right between Columbia Heights and Mount Pleasant area. So it's a nice area, nice homes, you know. And apparently enough people observed and complained, or the city just went and noticed that this home didn't look like the others around it. And they officially declared it vacant and blighted.
Wait, so they declared a place vacant and blighted, even though there have to be purchase records from 1997. Like they track that kind of stuff.
Well, sure, they know the place is owned, but there's a difference between owned and inhabited, you know? So there's a lot of places across the city, actually, and Petula went and did this research as well. She went and looked at some of the other places that are marked as vacant. There are tons of these. In the Department of Buildings database, apparently there are 3,500 residential properties that are deemed vacant, and then of those, there are 350 that are declared vacant and blighted. So like basically empty eyesores. And in her piece, Petula did post a bunch of pictures, and those places really do look decrepit. They do look like they're falling apart. I wouldn't say that Jaskowitz's is decrepit. I wouldn't say that it lives up to that adjective. It does look a little bit more, I don't know, like haunted, I suppose, compared to some of the other places around it. But he acknowledges that, you know, like he's like, yeah, this place is, it's been a piece of work. You know, it's been a project.
But that's also the nature of fixer-uppers is typically like the outside, like the curb appeal doesn't look great, but if it's in a neighborhood that's really good, you can like, it's the whole, like the entire premise of The Gaineses and like the fixer-upper TV show, which like big fan, dude, love it. Like the whole point is like, yeah, like the curb appeal sometimes look a little weird, but the whole point is like you're buying in probably a really good neighborhood. And if you sink a little bit of money into really repairing it and really doing right by that house, the bones are probably okay, and you can actually live there and then make profit off it if you ever sell. So
sure. But I mean, also 1997 wasn't yesterday. It's been like nearly 30 years.
Sure.
So I can understand that why people would be frustrated that this place doesn't look quite as built up as it is. But I mean, the main thing to consider here is that decrepit or not, blighted or not, the place is not vacant.
Right.
Jaskowitz lives there. He has lived there since he bought the place. Petula actually did the due diligence of talking to his neighbors to be like, this guy says he lives here. Does he actually live here? And they were like, yeah, like we've seen him go in and out for groceries. We've seen him go in and out for yoga class. Like, dude lives there.
Right.
And so that's a big problem. He actually had to scrounge up old water bills and stuff like that with a lawyer friend of his to be able to show it to the Department of Buildings and get the record changed so that it now registers as occupied, not vacant. But a bigger part of this is like in reading about this story and reading about Jaskowitz's situation, I learned a lot about how this vacant property system works and like what the ultimate goals of it are, which is actually really fascinating. DC is actively trying to note down which homes, which properties in the city are vacant and have been vacant for a while.
Okay.
And, you know, essentially tax the shit out of them to
Okay.
incentivize owners, property owners, to either, you know, renovate and build those places up into properties that people can live in or sell it to developers who will do that. And it's all part and parcel of trying to fix our affordable housing crisis. I just thought that was like a really interesting piece to come out of this story. Like at the heart of it, you've got this guy who's potentially gonna get kicked out of his home because his home has been declared vacant. And that's a problem, obviously. But the system behind it is actually kind of virtuous. And it was interesting to learn about it. Like the way they do this is DC properties are typically taxed at 85 cents for every $100 of assessed value. But if a home is vacant, if it's deemed vacant, then it jumps up from being taxed 85 cents for every $100 to $5 full.
So their whole point is they don't want vacant properties, period. The goal is like get people into those properties, have them be occupied, have people living there, or have them be storefronts, and that's that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it is also smart that like, as long as they're trying to figure out if these places are vacant and or blighted, those property taxes are going to go up incredibly high, which ultimately is revenue for the city to be able to put back into government services, potentially put back into affordable housing, like building new affordable housing. So, and I thought it was kind of cool.
So is Jaskowitz now like working with the city to rectify this? Obviously, he's like talked to a lawyer friend to be like, hey, actually, I live here, guys.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so they have, like I said, they've changed the declaration for the property from vacant to occupied, but because the property value in this area has gone up so much. I mean, when he bought his home, again, reminder, this is between Columbia Heights and Mount Pleasant on 16th Street. This is not a cheap area to live in. He bought this home in 1997 for $127,000.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Come on. I can barely take a breath and not pay $127K. That's insane.
Yeah. Most one-bedroom condos in the city at this point are like $450,000.
Yeah.
So that is wild. And it's a 5-bedroom house. So it's big. Mm-hmm. So the property value understandably has gone up significantly. The place is now worth more than $1 million. And so even now that his home is marked down as occupied, it's still a really high tax bill and he is struggling to pay it. So he is apparently working with the Department of Buildings. He says that he has been reaching out to them to ask for help. They say like, oh, if like he just responds to the tax auction notices and talks to us, we'll get it sorted and we won't put his home up for tax sale. So it's kind of a he said, she said situation here.
I feel like a face-to-face conversation would solve all of these problems in 5 minutes, you know?
Potentially. You should call him up and let him know.
You got it. I'm coming for you, Rich. I'll help you out.
Paint Care is all about keeping it simple for district residents. They make recycling leftover paint, stain, and varnish easy with convenient drop-off locations like your local paint or hardware store. Each new paint project is an opportunity to reduce waste, and Paint Care has 3 simple rules for painting smarter. 1, buy the right amount of paint for the job. 2, use up leftover paint. And 3, recycle the rest. Visit paintcare.org/3simplerules to get tips on how to buy the right amount of paint explore ideas for DIY projects for how to use up leftover paint, and look up your nearest drop-off site in the district.
All right, Priyanka, have you ever considered running for advisory neighborhood commission to represent your neighborhood, help people out?
I have not. No,
Okay.
no. I think it's a really noble job. It does seem like a heck of a lot of work, and it's unpaid, right?
That's correct. It is unpaid to do a lot of work, but the city might need you, yes, you, to serve as an ANC member because data from the DC Board of Elections shows that as of Friday, 117 out of 345 commissioner seats don't have an interested candidate. That is basically a third of them. So that ain't nothing.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what ANC commissioners do, like these are the people that basically decide on a micro level and sort of a macro-ish level how we live our lives. These are people that hold meetings about like bike lanes and turf fields and managing modest budgets and drafting resolutions to support or oppose local zoning decisions, maintaining liquor licenses. But yeah, they're the eyes and the ears of the neighborhood. And for a lot of people, it's like their first foray into politics. Mayor Muriel Bowser was an ANC at one point, you know?
Yeah, a lot of local officials started out as ANCs. And I mean, at the end of the day, the ANC commissions don't necessarily have power to, make laws or enact them. But the council is required to pay heed to like memos and stuff that the ANCs send over. So
Yes.
when we're talking about hyper-local, we mean hyper-local. Like an ANC might be responsible for just a matter of a few blocks
Yes.
in an area. And then a bunch of ANCs work together to represent a full ward. Your ANC is the most accessible local representative that you have in the city.
Yeah, no, it's a really important role. But according to Kent Bess, he's the director of DC's Office for Advisory Neighborhood Commissions. He says that his big concerns here are there's a lot of fatigue. Like, I don't think there's a training about how to get yelled at by an indignant neighbor for an hour on a Zoom call,
And even on the, more calm, peaceful end of the spectrum, the ANC meetings are long.
Yes.
And they take effort, and it's a lot of learning and reading in on, how city law works and how zoning codes work. And I imagine there's a steep learning curve for this kind of work.
Yeah, one of Bess's big points was that the learning curve for a lot of this is that a lot of commissioners don't really get into the flow of how things work until the end of their first term. So, yeah, that's kind of wild. And also, like, the ANC office, like, his office has trainings for this kind of stuff to help get people up to speed, help make them feel more comfortable. But I also feel like it's the kind of job where, like, you don't know how to do it until you actually do it.
The other thing with this is, like, you spend all that time. You said a lot of people don't feel like they have a hang of it until the end of their first term.
Right.
Are they then sticking around for another term? Like, do ANCs stick around? How does that work?
All right. So one of the big concerns here is turnover. 63% of commissioners who won election in 2022 were new to the job. So that's a likely sign of fatigue among the incumbents. They basically do whatever it is for however long, and then they're just like, I'm out.
I also think like there's a lot of turnover in the city in general about people moving from neighborhood to neighborhood. People like to stay in DC, but they don't necessarily stay in the same spot the whole time.
Right.
And if you move neighborhoods, you got to stop being ANC. So, yeah, I mean, I guess all of those reasons seem really valid for why we have so many vacancies and such a lack of people signing up to be ANCs. But when did you say the deadline is to sign up?
So the actual deadline is August 7th, and it turns out that a fair amount of incumbents just wait until closer till that deadline to file paperwork and all that kind of stuff and make sure that they're up for re-election. One other thing that happens is that during the general election, you can also launch a write-in campaign at the ballot box.
Oh my God,
So it's
fun.
possible that people are like coalescing around their friends being like, you should be ANC. And then somehow it's just like, well, this person who was a write-in candidate, surprise, you're an ANC now. That's possible.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start a CityCast campaign to vote Julia Karen in as her ANC for her little Cleveland Park neighborhood.
I would be going up against Swale Siddiqui, man. I don't want that smoke. I don't want that smoke.
Fair enough. I forgot that Swale is your rep.
However, the smoke that I do want, in all seriousness, is for all of y'all to become members of CityCast DC. You get really cool perks. Like we have a full extra episode that we did with the Office of Planning. It was a listener Q&A. You get a perk like that. You get no ads too. Big deal.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the biggest perk obviously is being able to actually just help us stick around, help support our work. We have a sister newsletter, Hey DC. Obviously, we put out this podcast 5 days a week. So, it takes a lot of work. We're a team of 6 people that are working really hard. And so support us. And then obviously, yes, the ad-free listening and first dibs on live events and members-only content are all other exciting perks for you as a member. You just go to membership.citycast.fm and it's $8 a month.
Yeah, I know you all want that smoke. Go do it.
Let's be real, lawsuits are not fun, but with Paulson & Nace, at least they're a little easier. Paulson & Nace is a DC law firm in every sense of the word. It was founded here in 1979. Partner Chris Nace is a local who cares deeply about the DC community, even serving on the board of the local branch of the Living Classrooms Foundation in his free time. Nace and his associates Samantha Peters and Maya Perry handle medical malpractice, wrongful death, and other complex injury cases. And they don't just settle every case. They'll go to court. They'll fight for you. Paulson & Nace has even been recognized as one of U.S. News' best law firms. So if you have been hurt or lost a loved one because of someone else's mistake or negligence, call Paulson & Nace for a no-obligation consultation. Visit www.paulsonandnace.com. That's PAULSONANDNACE.com. Or call 202-463-1999.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I love a breakfast sandwich.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. It's like the one thing, like I wake up on Saturday morning, I walk to the Cleveland Park Farmers Market. The Hog Haven breakfast sandwich guy is there. He supplies all the pork and stuff that I like.
Yes.
And I get a breakfast sandwich from there. And it's lovely.
Those guys used to be at the DuPont Farmers Market. They might still be. I just don't go there as much anymore. But I do love their breakfast sandwich, the Hog Haven ones, yes.
Yeah. All right. So our boy Tim Carman at the Washington Post has a list of his top 10 favorite breakfast sandos in the area.
Okay, hit me with them.
So one that he says is really, really good is the Breakfast Bandit from Buffalo and Bergen. I have not had this sandwich, but there's a Buffalo and Bergen that's about to open up in Cleveland Park. The signage is up and everything. So I'm very intrigued what the sandwich is like. Have you had this before?
No. Okay, so this is crazy. I haven't had any of the ones that made his top 10.
None of them?
None of them.
Bro.
I know. And I love a breakfast sandwich, but I guess I just go to the same spots over and over again. And so haven't had, like I used to love the one at the Y Down, which is sad, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
But yeah, I haven't had any of these breakfast sandwiches. I tend to, for breakfast sandwiches, I go to the place like closest to me, you know what I mean? And none of these spots are super close.
So for you, it's a matter of convenience as opposed to just like, I want the best thing that I can possibly get.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I did once make the trek out to Any Day Now in Navy Yard for that scallion pancake breakfast sandwich because it was like all over the news, all over the zeitgeist at that point when that came out. This is Tim Ma's place in Navy Yard. That sandwich was amazing. It's a bacon, egg, and cheese or sausage, egg, and cheese between 2 scallion pancakes. And it sounds like it would be really crazy heavy and like sit in your stomach like a rock, but it does not. And it's delicious. And it has an amazing crispy chili oil on it. And I noticed that it is on Tim Carman's like honorary mentions list at the bottom.
Yeah, no, it's not in his top 10. I will say though, if you like that sandwich, there is one that I feel is similar, and I am a big fan of. It's the scallion egg and cheese sandwich at Rose Ave Bakery. I get it with sausage because I like that protein, but it's basically a scallion bun. So like think croissant dough covered in garlic and scallions and like, oh, it's so good. And then
Delicious.
It's like a perfect square of scrambled egg, little American cheese on top, sausage patty, little special sauce. You take a bite into it, and all your problems are solved. It's great.
Ugh,
I love it.
Sounds so good.
This is making me so hungry. The number 1 breakfast sandwich was the Zatar egg croissant at Yellow. I have not had this particular breakfast sandwich. There's a different breakfast croissant that they have where it's like a croissant, but with an egg pocket. So it has
with
like
harissa.
with the harissa. That one is really good. I have not had this one because every time I go there, I just get distracted by everything else I can get.
I do have that problem at Yellow. I also feel like I regularly go there and they're out of like the first 3 things I try to order. They're like, we're out, we're out, we're out.
The other thing I will say is that they stopped selling breakfast sandwiches after 11 a.m. At Yellow, you want to make a killing, sell that breakfast sandwich at like noon, 3 p.m. I promise you, money and profits go up, baby.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that people are ordering breakfast sandwiches at 3 p.m.
Girl,
Maybe till noon, but
I am. I will have a breakfast sandwich literally any time of day for any reason. It is not a hard sell for me. Is there one on this list that you saw and you were like, oh yeah, I need to have this one like immediately?
For me, it was the Rose Ave one.
Yeah.
Though the one at Taco Bamba, which is like, slightly less traditional breakfast sandwich, it's a sopa. So it's like a flatbread essentially, with breakfasty things on top. That looks really good too. But I don't think of that as a traditional breakfast sandwich.
Yeah, no, I don't either. It looks almost similar to like a tostada.
Yeah.
And I can 1,000% get behind that. But again, I don't know that it's like, what is a sandwich? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Are we about to wade into this argument? Are we about to wade into the fact that like, is this sope at Taco Bamba a sandwich?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he got ahead of that in the caption for the photo. He's like, tacos are officially a sandwich.
Okay.
Like, go away, Julia. He's got it.
Okay, fine.
But seeing this list come out also just made me want a best breakfast burritos list, a best omelets, like basic breakfast list. I would like all of the assessments done.
Yeah, let me be abundantly clear. I will eat breakfast food any time of day, any day of the week. I just power rank anything that is breakfast related. I will try it and eat it.
I'm with you.
Scout's honor. Priyanka, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And that's all for today here at CityCast DC. If you like the show, share it with someone who really loves themselves a breakfast sandwich. You should also subscribe to our daily newsletter. It's called Hey DC. We'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Bye.